Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another edition of iSports. Today is Thursday, the 7th of July, 2016. And as you would have heard in the promo we just played, tonight we talk football. Of course, just to give you a little idea what transpired today in terms of the European Championships. For those of you following, France were victorious today. They knocked the World Cup champions Germany out of the European Championship. So the host team, France, winning by 2-0, and they've progressed to Sunday's 3 p.m. final, and they'll play, Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. Who would have thought it besides Ashley Abash? Who would have thought it? She's the only one from all of those that we selected. The many people that selected France, too many to name, obviously, and one person alone, Ashley Abash, because she loves Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, she's got a wish. He's got his wish too. He's in the final. Roxanne is alongside me. Roxanne, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My two teams.
And
Germany.
Now we are going to be talking football.
Yes.
And we've got in the studios here via i95 5FM. Let me introduce them, not only in terms of age, but maybe in terms of seniority. So let me start with Mr. David John-Williams, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association. David John-Williams, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Andre. Good evening, Lasana. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. And good evening, Roxanne.
Hi.
And of course, he's introduced Lasana Liburd, the leading sport journalist, investigative sport journalist in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, his website, Wired, WIRED 868, breaks a number of stories, reveals a number of information, not only in football, but in a number of sports as well in Trinidad and Tobago. So let me welcome Lasana. Lasana, welcome.
Good evening to everyone. Mr. John Williams and TTFA Vice President Joanne Salazar, who is also here, and Jen Roxanne.
Hi.
Thank you very much indeed. So maybe that's where we'll start. We'll start with the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association president. And let's start with, before we talk about Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, let's start talking about the CFU. There have been a number of articles, and we have actually done programs here too on i95 5FM. The Sun has written a number of articles. It all concerning the CFU, the administration of the CFU, the president of the CFU, contentious remarks made about you, David John-Williams, that you basically are not towing the line in terms of the CFU, in terms of following what he wants. He's written you about it. He's asked questions about it. We've also read where he has been written to by COUNTERCAF, where COUNTERCAF have asked him to account for why is it that funds to be paid for television rights are now being paid to a new company, a new organization of which he is one of the directors. And then we have revealed documents which have shown that this directorship has now changed in terms of the ownership. It moved from one location to another location in Jamaica when questions were raised. We've also read the information from COUNTERCAF, where COUNTERCAF have revealed that they're going to stop or withhold funding to CFU pending this investigation. So much things have been raised. But it seems that you yourself, David John-Williams, and the president of CFU are at loggerheads. Is it fair to say that?
It may be fair to say that, Andre, and I think when this all started, I just want to give you a history before I go into what has been said to Lasana. When I came into office as president of the TTFA, I did write to Gordon Derrick vis-a-vis the television rights, and how we at the TTFA felt about it, and I think he took offense to that. One particular letter I did write at the time is, should I address the correspondence to CFU Limited in Jamaica or CFU Inc. in Antigua? Because one of the payments came from CFU Inc., which I found very, very strange. But the first salvo was fired by Mr. Gordon Derrick, who felt that I broke ranks in supporting a particular presidential candidate, when in fact, and I'll produce the video evidence, he said at a meeting on the 15th of January in Antigua that people could vote how they wish, right? And he came to Trinidad and Tobago, whether it were interview or whatever, and indicated that I going against the status quo and undermining the credibility and the CFU as voting as a bloc. And I think that is where everything started. And there was a response to that, and I am happy to read the response to that if I'm so inclined. I just want to tell you that some of the responses are so confidential that I only read excerpts from it. So I think that is where it started. And it moved on to this current situation with CFU Inc. and I was very vocal about it in the Congress in Mexico. And he took offense to that as well. And then it came to the Caribbean Professional League. And I think that is where all hell broke loose, so to speak. He accused me of undermining a project which is deeply rooted within the CFU Exco. And I, as a member association, was promoting divisiveness in the CFU. And that's where we are now. It's important to understand, and Lasana could bear me out, that in my capacity as President and Chief Executive Officer of W Connection Football Club back in 2011-12, I presented this project to the CFU. And nothing was done with it. I remember both Lasana and Terry Finney going on a program with, I think it would have been a guy from TV6 now, talking when I was appointed to the task force to talk about that Caribbean Professional League. So to say that, and then for Gordon to write and say that I had a fiduciary responsibility being appointed by CFU when I was not, and that I was undermining a project that was deeply rooted into the CFU, I think it was very disingenuous of him.
We bring in Lasana Liburd. Lasana Liburd, you would have spoken with Mr. Derrick. What is your interpretation of all that you have heard from Mr. Derrick, from the documents you have received, and from some of the comments you would have heard tonight from David John-Williams? And again, welcome.
Yes. Those ideas seem to be kind of pulled in parts and pieces, to be honest. I'll give you an example. Mr. John-Williams said that he mentioned that Gordon Derrick said beforehand that people could vote who they wished for, but then went on to say afterwards that John-Williams broke ranks. That wasn't exactly what he said. What he said is that he wanted all the members, Caribbean member associations were going to meet at the Congress. I don't think all the presidential candidates had even spoken as yet. And he wanted all the different member associations essentially to wait until that meeting before they chose. It was never a matter of saying the TTFA has to vote in line with this or vote with that. It's just a matter of, from what I gathered from speaking to him, waiting until the CFU had met and discussed before they would decide. So in that sense, John-Williams broke ranks by openly stating who his preference was for before they had even heard everyone else. And I think the important part here that we're not mentioning while we're at it is who exactly John-Williams was representing when he said that he supported Infantino. As far as I understand, Infantino never met with the TTFA Executive Committee at all, or the Board of Directors. As far as I understand, Mr. John-Williams never met with the Board of Directors to say, I'm an Infantino man, and here is why. And I think Infantino is better than the other candidates for this reason or that reason. So it seems that John-Williams voted for who he wanted to vote for. John-Williams voted for John-Williams, and he's not in a position to do that. In my opinion, he's representing the football body. And it's just one of those issues I have right now with what's happening in terms of the administration.
And the information you're saying from Gordon Derrick would have been based on what Gordon Derrick would have told you, obviously.
Yes, was an interview I did with Mr. Derrick.
All right, and so maybe I presume that based on what that Mr. David John-Williams can produce a document. I'm sure you have a document, and I'm seeing it from you can read from it.
Yes, and I also produced the minutes of the meeting.
Sure, of
the
course.
Minutes of the meeting of the CFU or the 15th,
which will be important.
Which indicated that they will meet in Miami only to discuss the statutes.
Could we clarify the TTFA meeting, whether there was a TTFA board meeting in which it was decided to vote for president?
Well, let's do one thing at a time.
Yes.
So let's start
with that afterwards.
Yeah, let's definitely we must deal with that. I agree with you. So let's start with the Gordon Derrick issue.
So I said, Dear President, it's surprising to me that as President of the CFU, you chose to focus on the comment of Trinidad and Tobago's position when at no point in time was there a discussion relating to the CFU voting as a bloc or deciding a particular candidate. At the time of writing, you are still to convene a meeting of the CFU members to discuss the FIFA presidency. Furthermore, the discussion coming out of the meeting in Antigua was that your EXCO was to convene an urgent meeting of its members before the FIFA Congress in February to discuss the proposed changing of the FIFA statutes. That meeting is yet to be convened. As far as I'm aware, the meeting of the 11th and 12th in Miami was called to arranged by CONCACAF to discuss the proposed changes in the CONCACAF statutes. So once again, CFU member associations are being called to a meeting to discuss significant and far-reaching changes in the governance of football without the benefit of knowing what the CFU position as relates to the proposed changes, or knowing what arrangements are being put in place to facilitate the CFU Member Association in arriving at a collective position. To suggest otherwise, as your reported comments clearly do, is both disingenuous and likely to sow the seeds of discord. Moreover, your reported comments fail to equally chastise Suriname, Barbados, and Grenada, who all openly supported Mr. Infantino. To make matters worse, you uttered no comment or criticism as a CFU president and chair of the CFU meeting in Antigua on February 16th, when Puerto Rico, Cuba, Haiti openly and endorsed another candidate for the FIFA presidency, Mr. Jerome Champagne. In the circumstances, I trust that you will do the honorable thing, being either to retract your statements or issue an apology to the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association publicly, or publicly distance yourself from the office of the reported comments. I also trust that your choice to highlight Trinidad and Tobago in this matter has nothing to do with our association's position regarding the matter involving the TV rights, CFU, and traffic. I am copying this email to all members of the association of the CFU so that they are duly informed.
All right. So that's that. What about the minutes? Yes, I think Lasana would be interested in the minutes because that's going to be important. Not necessarily what he would have told Lasana, but I'm more interested in what would have been said at the CONCACAF meeting. And if there's minutes to that,
yes, I can give him a chance to talk.
Yes,
and I could point out that I didn't call Mr. Derek on behalf of Suriname or Puerto Rico or whatever other countries that John Williams just mentioned. You know, what those nations did, and if he was asked to comment on them is I'm neither here nor there about it, of course, you know. And
no, but I think in all fairness, Lasana, the only question would be if it's me.
And he mentioned as well, there are 31 CFU nations, by the way, too. Huh?
Right? No. But if somebody says
six,
if somebody says, this is my opinion, right?
Yeah.
If I ask them about Trinidad and Tobago and somebody says Trinidad and Tobago broke ranks, if it was me, I would probably want to know, is Trinidad and Tobago the only one that broke ranks? Because I got the impression that Trinidad and Tobago was the only one that broke ranks. But if I based on what I would have read, obviously what he would have read, it would have meant that it wasn't only Trinidad and Tobago that broke ranks.
Okay.
From that, because it comes across that if Trinidad and Tobago everybody else has agreed. This is just me. From what you have said,
right.
That's falling on from that. It would have been that everybody else agree and Trinidad and Tobago break ranks and come out and talk. But based on what he has said, it's a little bit different. It twists the whole story a little bit different.
Twist it slightly.
Yeah.
I mean, based on what he said, I guess you're going to see the veracity of that
of
soon.
Course.
And I will point out again that was it 6 nations, Roxy?
Yeah.
There are 31 and there are 31
No,
in
I think we all are. There's absolutely no disagreement in terms of that. Obviously, but the other important point, and I think this is a critical point, David John-Williams.
I have the minutes of the meeting. Don't worry.
No. I'm more interested. I'm more interested. I'm sure he's more interested in what I'm more interested in, which is the fact that, and it's a strong statement, is it that David John-Williams for himself choose to back Infantino instead of discussing it with
First of all, Andre, I in my endorsement of Infantino, and you could go back to the clip, I said, from the candidate that has presented, I, in my opinion, support Infantino because he had the best football manifesto. That is what I said in my and you can go to the press release. Right. I also discussed this with my 3 vice presidents prior to making that statement.
Also, it was discussed, but was it? And
it was agreed with my 3 vice presidents.
And that doesn't matter at all. There's a board of directors. No decision has been made here by John Williams and his 3 vice presidents. I think that's ridiculous. You know, and as far as him saying it's his own personal opinion, and a TTFA press release with a TTFA video as TTFA president, I think that's also ridiculous. You know, so that doesn't cut any eyes at all at me. I want to hear if the board of directors, according to the constitution, nothing happens because John Williams or the vice presidents agreed. We have a board of directors.
Who has the rights in terms of the constitution? In terms of, it would normally, to me, in my opinion, the board of directors, who would have the final say in terms of a decision, in terms of the group?
Andre, I don't think I broke any ranks, and on top of that, the minutes of the meeting will show right, that the board endorsed my statement. I'm going to produce the minutes of the
Yes,
meeting.
I think that
Minutes of the
I'm sure he would. Okay,
Yes.
so that
Minutes
that,
of which meeting?
Both two meetings. There have been
Yes,
two
of course,
meetings.
of
So we had
course,
have
of
we had have two.
Was the
meetings.
meeting that they before or after?
The meeting was after. Of course, the meeting was
Okay.
after. I have no problem. I have no problem.
So
in saying that.
it's a pattern we're seeing here where the board of directors are being asked to rubber stamp decisions. Would you have preferred the board of directors then say, no, we prefer champagne? Would that seem like a practical or a logical step for them to make at that point in time?
No, well, I think Lasana is trying to suggest that it's a pattern that is evolving, and if you want to say what is the other pattern, I'm happy to say.
Well, we're here for a while. I'm sure we'll get to that. Brian Williams would be too.
No,
You know? Okay, we could talk about a couple more then. For
Yeah, no
instance,
problem.
Randy Waldrum. When they decided that Randy Waldrum would be selected, who did you discuss that with the board in terms of even the request for paperwork and so on that you
All right,
pointed
so
to?
let's make it clear for people to understand. We're talking about Randy Waldrum, who would have been the
Former
coach for
women's
the
coach.
women's
Women's.
coach. Right. So
Right.
then let's make it for people.
Senior women's senior team.
Then we could go to technical director
But
Kendall
hold on.
Walks.
So let's start. Let's
start with Randy Waldrum.
In all fairness. Okay, so let me ask the question for Lasana, because I don't know if Lasana is afraid to ask the question.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
let me ask the question. The question is it that David John-Williams is running the Trinidad Tobago Football Association like a one-man show, making all these decisions without taking advice, without taking any advice from whether the board of directors? So Randy Waldrum sacking was his decision. The fact that Kendall Walk was sacked was his decision, or did he consult with the other members? I think that's what.
But just to clarify, even before that,
All right.
you decided to pick Infantino as president before you spoke to the board. So be clear about that. You only asked to raise it with the board after you already.
I did not pick Infantino. I endorsed Infantino as the candidate having.
You
Yes, I suggested
We
that.
didn't think you had voted at that point
Okay,
in time.
right,
The vote
okay.
hadn't come yet. But
All right.
no problem.
All
Go
right.
on.
So the other question, David, one of the questions people have asked in the past, would David John-Williams be such a strong hand leader? I think when you were here and we interviewed you, Lasana was with me, I think, at the time when we did those interviews, where we asked, I think it was you and we had some other guests who were also vying for the job at the time.
Yeah. Selby Brown
and Raymond Timkey at the time, right?
I don't think Timkey came.
No,
Did
he was here, man.
Yes, Timkey came.
Timkey
That's
was
right.
here.
Timkey was here.
And the question was, David John-Williams is such a strong leader with W Connection. Would he bring that same strong leadership and want to be the only one in control?
Well,
how you deal with that?
I think that is very wrong, Andre. I think that is very wrong, and Lasana suggested that the question of Mohamed Issa, that I selected Mohamed Issa,
Okay.
and I think that was a board decision, and not David John-Williams' decision.
All right. So for
let's go on.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to go on to the question of Brian Williams. He said that the question of the direction I gave to the technical committee was that we don't have money. Let us seek someone that we could get seconded from the army or somewhere that has the requisite qualification to coach the national under-20 team, because time was against us. And that was the direction I gave to the committee.
And the only name raised was one of your own youth coaches. Was there no one else that could be seconded?
No, mind you, hold on. That recommendation, and if I get Wi-Fi, was made by Mohamed Issa in writing to the technical committee.
All right, so I think it's
So
important.
a panel of one.
It's important.
So a panel of one.
No, but hold on.
In terms of coaches available.
If he's the technical director has the responsibility to do that.
Exactly.
That is his job. Whether
That's
he
his
choose
job.
one person or 2%, we are probably have to ask him why he choose one person. I agree with you, but obviously that is his job. Mohamed Issa, that is Mohamed Issa's job.
And mind you, it
But-
was a short-term appointment, and Lasana knows that. In fact, Brian Williams, according to Lasana, was my fourth or third short-term appointment.
All right. So I think let's go back to one of the questions. I mean, from what I've heard from Lasana, obviously, one of the major questions here is this whole question about Gordon Derrick. Is it that we can talk to anyone from the CFU to clarify some of what you've said? That anyone from the, I mean, because I myself tried to get Gordon Derrick, as you know, obviously, and at the time when I spoke to Gordon Derrick, it was the second in command to Gordon Derrick, which was, anyway,
Cheney Joseph.
Cheney Joseph.
You can probably call Cheney Joseph
Cheney Joseph is
as a vice president.
He's one of the vice presidents.
Yes,
So
an EXCO member.
He wasn't the one. The person I'm thinking about is, I'll get his name in a short
Hillary
while.
and Frederick.
No, Neil Cochrane.
Neil Cochrane, he's the general secretary.
Yeah, he was the one I spoke with when I was trying to get Gordon Derrick to clarify this matter. And of course, at the time, Mr. Cochrane said that Mr. Derrick was unavailable. So, but I don't. I mean, not them.
I
They
think
want to
you
speak.
should be able to talk to the executive member because one of the main articles I want to go to is the CFU, where Mr. Gordon Derrick said that I broke ranks.
CFU.
So I think you could talk to any one of the EXCO members.
And what's his name?
Cheney Joseph.
Do you know him, Lasana? You know that name?
I know the name. He's from Grenada. He's one of the vice presidents.
So he.
Personally, I'm if, like I said, 5 or 6 Caribbean nations also said, I'm not even going to contest that. I'm happy to talk about the TTFA.
Yeah. I don't think we need to call him person. I just wanted to know that how. I think the minutes is going to be the important point for the 2 minutes are going to be important. The minutes from that meeting and the second minutes from the Trinidad Football Association meeting as well. But Joanne, you want to come in? So let's bring in Joanne Salazar. Yes, you go ahead.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of things have been mentioned here with regard to governance, and I'd like to bring some governance to this table.
Yes.
First of all, I actually was in attendance at the CFU meeting that is reported that was being discussed earlier.
Okay.
I was actually there. I was there at both CFU meetings, and I was there at the Congress. And I can tell you that my question and my concern is that the way that it has been portrayed with regard to Trinidad and Tobago breaking ranks, it is impossible to break ranks when everybody is scattered. I was at the meeting. Different CFU members were openly supporting different candidates because, Andre, that is the reason why the candidates came and spoke to the CFU to enroll us and to convince us as individual countries or a bloc that we should vote for them with regard to the FIFA presidency. At no point in time did President Derrick say we plan to vote en bloc. At no point in time.
He didn't say that to me either.
At no point in time did he even say, well, okay, let's have the Spanish-speaking countries or the French-speaking countries or the English-speaking countries vote en bloc. Nothing was discussed, absolutely nothing that was discussed with regard to a strategy as we go forward for the Caribbean to maximize the voting power that it has. Remember, we are 31 among 41. We could have been very influential, but that's a whole different program. So to come back to Trinidad and to read an article where apparently we broke ranks, it's a fundamental misrepresentation of the situation. That's number one. Number two, with regard to the president giving his endorsement to Infantino,
yes,
that was discussed with the 3 vice presidents. And people who understand football governance know that the 3 vice presidents are actually charged with making executive decisions. We have adopted...
That's really not correct. The board of directors, everything has to go through the board of directors.
Mr. Lasana, you can quite happily pull up any rules of governance you wish to refer to. That is why we are called the EXCO.
Yes.
So, what it is important to do from a governance point of view is to make sure that your decision-making is clear and that your decision-making is transparent. And that is why we went back to the board to discuss it. Our board came into being on the 29th of November, on the 30th of November actually. We met twice in December, and we've met every month as a board on the 3rd Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Right? Because governance is such an important issue, we actually set those meetings in place, and we set a timetable for the year up to September when we have our next annual general meeting. So governance is something, it's a living and breathing thing, and we are working at it. But there are certain fundamental things that we don't do. And one of them is having a one-man or a 3-person
You know that the Constitution doesn't even use the word executive committee anymore. It's board of directors now, just as a point.
As a person who partially assisted in its drafting, I'm very clear. And if you want to talk governance, let's now talk about the fact that FIFA and CONCACAF actually now have a council. They don't even have an executive board anymore. So we actually have to now make sure our statutes are actually catch up with that.
All right, so let's just ask Lasana, because I mean he would be basing his idea on something. Why you believe, from your perspective, Lasana, from your knowledge, that what we just heard from Joanne is not as it should be, that they should go to the board?
The body running Trinidad and Tobago football is supposed to be the board of directors, not the executive committee. There is no executive committee
so
anymore under the Constitution.
Is there some document saying that?
is on the Constitution. I can't pull it up right now.
Well, you see, that's
but
the
it's
problem.
right there.
No, that's the problem that I have. Governance is something that it's black and white because there are sanctions if you don't adhere to it.
Could I just continue? I wasn't finished making my point.
Sorry, I
so
interrupted
is the
you.
belief then that Mr. Williams has voted in with yourself, you and Davis and Alan Warner, and the four of you going to decide together in your little meetings what's going to happen in Trinidad and Tobago football now?
Let me restate my position. The board has been brought into place to oversee Trinidad and Tobago football. Within the board, the decision-making within the board has two levels of decision-making, which you are familiar with. One is the EXCO, which is why the EXCO are voted into office, and the rest are people who are nominated by the representatives right across Trinidad and Tobago.
All right.
Together, we make decisions.
Let's hold that to I mean, that's my limited knowledge. I know that, unfortunately, I don't know, the Western Cricket Board unfortunately operates the same way in that they are 14 persons, and then they have an executive committee that makes all the decisions, and then they refer it to the board after. I know that that's how the Western Cricket Board operates because they have 14 members and there's a particular 4-man executive. Are we saying that is the same thing?
That is very
No,
similar.
but I think the question is it in writing? I think that's the point, Lasana.
In the Constitution, which was agreed in July 2015, it is clear in the Constitution that there is, and it says, and in terms of the roles and responsibilities of the vice presidents, what the roles and responsibilities are. That is why not everybody's elected, and that is why, on the other hand, you don't have everybody nominated, because there is a difference. And Lasana, being familiar with football, is very clear. The CFU operates on that basis, CONCACAF operates on that basis, FIFA operates on that basis. We are not adopting any approach that is unique to Trinidad and Tobago. Every one of the 41 CONCACAF countries, because that is the norm in football. It is changing, mind you, because now instead of having a general secretary that's purely a general secretary, you're having someone now who is more acts as a CEO and behaves like a CEO. And actually, in the latest version of the reforms, which we are to catch up with, the actual president is more like a chairman than a president. So the actual president has been stripped now, in the latest FIFA and CONCACAF statute, of executive responsibility. So it is in a process of change. I would admit that, but how we have operated is consistent with the Constitution that was brought into effect on the 12th of July 2015.
So, Ms. Salazar, you think it's fair that yourself, Mr. John Williams, and you and David should sit down together and decide who Trinidad and Tobago football elects as FIFA president without consulting the board? And you think that was proper governance?
To respond to your question directly, what the Constitution gives us the ability to do, because we are privy to all of the confidential information that would pass through the TTFA, is make decisions. It does give us that, because you cannot have detailed decisions being made by 13 people. First of all, you have to get the 13 people together.
I want to be fair. I personally understand that, but I just want to make sure it's in writing. I personally understand that philosophy, because I know that a lot of boards operate that way as well.
But not only is it in writing, Andre, it is the common practice. It is the norm within football. It is the norm.
Sana?
So
I want to ask Lasana, because I know he's
I'm going all the way through the Constitution looking for executive committee.
All right,
so far, I'm only seen board directors, but I'll tell you when it comes up.
Okay. So, David John-Williams, I know you were looking for some information.
Yes, Andrea, I'll have it. So, I think we could go on, and we'll come back to Lasana, because he says there was a pattern evolving with David John-Williams.
One man, almost like a one-man show.
So, I want to go on to the second point, and he says how Brian Williams was appointed.
Right, yes.
So I gave him the opportunity to so do.
No. He already mentioned that it came to Mohammed Isa.
Okay,
we already dealt with that part.
He says it's a pattern. And let's say, for example, David John-Williams made a mistake in his enthusiasm and endorsed Infantino. He says it's a pattern that has evolved, that David John-Williams was a one-man show. So, I mean, since he had made such a bold and
so you want to give some more examples?
Exactly.
All right, Lasana, feel free.
I don't see Article 15. I haven't seen anything about the executive committee now. I will comment.
No, please take the time to go through it, because you should also.
Okay, so maybe you know where it is.
No, hold on. The
do
statute.
Do you know where it is?
The statutes are not 100%. So you also need to say in there, where is the decision? Where does it say in there that you actually have a VP with a particular portfolio? Where does it say in there the responsibilities of the Assistant General Secretary?
It actually does say the portfolios of the VPs here.
No, hold on. We have an Assistant General Secretary. We have we have staff in the office. We have a responsibility for pulling together the accounts and delivering it. There's only one line that refers to the accounts of financial management in that constitution, and that is where it says that on the agenda of an annual general meeting, you're supposed to present the accounts. So at the end of the day, if you are what you need to represent, you need to be very.
I could say this year, Article 20. Section 2. The Board of Directors is the executive body. The Board of Directors. So that's one. So I'm still looking for the executive committee that you refer to. Could you please point me to that? Because I'm pointing you to something here that says the Board of Directors is the executive body of the TTFA.
Okay, well, can you also...
And yourself and Mr. Davis and Mr. John-Williams are not the Board of Directors.
Well, Lasana, you need to also point to how are decisions made by the Board of Directors. At what point, where do you draw the line in decisions? For instance, so how do you make decisions? How do you operate an organization?
Hold on. But first, could you please, you said that you are very current with the Constitution because you helped. Okay, so I'm pointing you to a part that says the Board of Directors, and could you find something that shows me otherwise?
No, but I'm asking you to also point in that Constitution, where does it say all decisions have to be made by the Board? And how would the organization operate if every decision had to be made by the Board? Because we can have a ridiculous, endless conversation about what is not in the Constitution and what it is. But I'm saying to you, you need to say to me, where does it say all of the decisions have to be made by the Board?
I just want to make a point.
No, David, no. Where does it say that? Because, you see, it's a dead-end conversation. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm pointing you to the Constitution, to what it says, and you're telling me it's a dead-end conversation?
No, but I'm asking you, where does it say?
I'm saying here, the Board of Directors is the executive body. Article 20, Section 2. Yeah, and I'm saying that if you know something otherwise, could you please point me to it?
I'm saying to you...
Hold on. I think, Joanne, the question is, in all fairness, Lasana, the question is, I understand what you're saying. His question is obvious question. His question is there anything written in the Constitution that says that there's an exco body that will report to the Board, or is that information not there?
No, that information is not there.
I'll read something else. Article 21.1. The general meeting is a meeting at which all members convene. It represents the supreme and legislative authority of the TTFA. Again, we're speaking about the Board of Directors. I'm not seeing anything with the executive committee.
No, Lasana, with respect, the Congress is your annual general meeting. So and I'm trying to say to you, the Congress is your annual general meeting where our 49 members come together to make particular decisions. Those particular decisions are not there. What the annual general meeting does, it receives key documents, it receives the activity report, it receives the financial statements, it receives the auditor's report. That is why you need to have a board, and within the board, you cannot operate an organization.
Okay, we fully agree here, but wait just a second. Who is the board? No, this is the point. I fully agree that the board.
No. There are 13 members of the board.
Good.
Four executive and 9 nominated members from different representative organizations.
And who makes the decisions?
There is the 4 executive, together with the 9 members.
So which is called the Board of Directors. But you're still saying the executive committee made a decision.
No, but you see, Lasana, we have to operate the organization. The board at best meets once a month. You have to operate the organization. The organization has to, just like you have an executive in a corporate sector. I'm a part of the corporate sector. And we have an executive that takes the day-to-day, week-to-week decisions so the organization can operate. I can't see I really can't see what's wrong with that. And I don't expect to have, in the Articles of Association of a company, it doesn't say you will appoint an executive and an executive would make day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month decisions.
Simple breakdown is that not all the time the entire board has to meet their decisions that can be made by 4 individuals.
I just want to come back to the point where Gordon Derrick clearly said that there would have been another meeting. This is the minutes of the meeting coming out of Antigua.
I'm reading it.
And it clearly says that they will meet again in Miami only to discuss the statutes. There is nothing in the minutes of the meeting that said, well, we are going to vote as a bloc.
All right, so I'm reading from the minutes of and just so people can clarify. This is, let me go back to the top, obviously. It's a long list. And this is the Neil Cochrane would have sent this out, the General Secretary. He would have sent it out to the CFU presidents and everyone involved, and it's copied to Gordon Derrick. And it says minutes of January the 16th to the 17th, 2016. And it lists all of those who would have attended: Anguilla, Antigua, Aruba, Bahamas, Barbados, Bonaire, Bermuda, BVI, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Curacao, Dominican Republic, French Guiana, Grenada, Guadeloupe, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, Martinique, Montserrat, Puerto Rico, St. Kitts Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Martin, St. Martin, and St. Martin, St. Vincent,
Dutch and French.
Yeah, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos, and USVI. And of course, all it called to order, all of the different information. Let me just go to the President's remarks. Counter-CAF statutes reform discussion. The matter regarding the counter-CAF statute reform was discussed, and the point as follows. A, the members agreed that another general meeting would be held before the counter-CAF Extraordinary Congress to enable complete understanding of the reform proposals and to attempt to arrive at a consensus before the meeting in Zurich. Okay, I'm reading.
Say that last part again.
Let me read it for you. The members agreed that another general meeting would be held before the COUNTERCAF Extraordinary Congress of February the 25th, 2016, to enable complete understanding of the reform proposals and to attempt to arrive at consensus before the meeting in Zurich.
Okay.
And I just want to tell you.
Yeah.
The presidential candidates did not address the CFU delegates at the meeting in Miami.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So for Gordon Derrick to say,
yeah, okay. Well, okay.
And report,
yeah, okay.
in a Trinidad and Tobago.
Based on and without doubt, based on what I've just read, people, the minutes, I have to take a little salt to what Gordon Derrick would have said to Lasana, obviously, based on the minutes.
I would just like to get back again.
Right.
Now at Article 36, powers of the Board of Directors.
We're talking about the Tobago Football Association here.
Because I think it's very important to where we are going here right now, the football body. The Board of Directors shall pass decisions on all cases, Roxy, on all cases that do not come within the sphere of responsibility of the general meeting. So are you all going against the Constitution? It doesn't say with exception the executive committee at all.
I think how we could sort this out. This is my opinion, right? Anyway,
unless you could point to somewhere in the Constitution that says something else,
or do we have minutes from the board of directors that have said that? This is my opinion. The minutes of the board of directors, there should be minutes that say that not only ratify the decision, that basically say that there is an ex-co committee. That the board of directors have given an ex-co committee responsibility to do A, B, C, and D, and come back and report to the board of directors. If you could produce those minutes, that will certainly help the situation as far as Lasana is concerned.
Because it's against the Constitution either way, but I'd love to see it all the same.
Let me say once again, I'm the newest one to football around this table.
Sure.
And what I'm describing here is common practice and the norm. You have the president and the VPs. Hold on, let me say. I listened to him. You have the VPs and the president.
Right.
And the reason why I was the driving force that ensured that our board meets every month. And it meets every month, not just willy-nilly. It meets on the third Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock at TTFA offices. Because at the end of the day, there are many gaps in the Constitution, and we take everything back to our board. And in fact, one of our committee members, who I will not name at the moment, who is heading one of our committees, has executive responsibilities to discharge and keeps saying, no, I'm only advisory. That is for the EXCO to do. So what I'm trying to say, Andre, and I don't want to kind of pursue it, the argument, we are not operating in any way that is different. That is a norm, this is the norm. We are not operating unchecked. We have a full board meeting every month. The board meeting is fully minuted. The minutes are received by everyone. The agenda sent out on the Sunday before the meeting. In terms of being open and transparent, there's little more we can do.
You say you're not operating unchecked, and yet it says, and yet you all said that you all made a decision on the president.
There are many decisions we've made, Lasana, because the organization cannot function if we keep waiting until we have a board meeting, even though we regularly have once a month. Which decisions would you... Okay, listen, governance is a living thing. Governance is a living thing, and you appear to have a preference or an expertise or knowledge or something on governance.
I just read the Constitution, that's my knowledge.
How would you prefer we operate? Would you now prefer, as of 7:10 now. We say, no, we're not taking any decisions until the board next meets.
Do you know how much time?
No, I'm asking you the question because I can't seem to find a middle ground.
Yeah.
Because here is a living, breathing organization where there are decisions to be made every day, every week, every month.
Let's say, for example,
But I think
decisions to be made by whom?
And then he would be looking at it from a constitution form. If it's in the constitution.
Why do we have a constitution?
I didn't see
Listen,
Lasana Liburd very
hold on.
critical of the president
No, hold on. A
in not getting
constitution.
approval from the board for friendly internationals.
No, hold on a minute,
Okay.
David. A constitution.
Well, I'm glad to know how we get them
David,
then, and
hold on.
I look forward to hearing more of that from you as well.
Hold on. We have to get back to the practicality of operating a living organization.
No.
The
First of all, here's the question. What makes the executive committee more special than the board of directors,
Because
essentially?
we are
According to the constitution,
Listen,
you all could meet at least once. It doesn't say how many times.
Hold on, Lasana, I'm not going to be taken down the dead end by you because I am the newest one to football here, and everybody around this table know how football operates, including yourself. And that is why the VPs and the president have to campaign and are elected. We are not nominated. Everybody else is elected.
Ma'am, you could speak whole night, but it wouldn't change the right in the constitution.
So let's see if we can clarify. I understand where Lasana is coming from.
Another point as well, Andre. There would have been close to a month or something until the FIFA election.
Right.
Why didn't they wait for the board meeting before deciding who they were going to endorse, for instance? There was no rush for you all to declare who you appointed as, who you wanted to back as for president.
Lasana, you have a particular issue about a particular series of decisions. I hear that.
You said you needed to rush. You didn't want to wait until the board meeting.
I never said that.
Well, please explain the hurry.
No,
why did the
I am
executive
not-
committee decide on Infantino?
Andre,
Lasana,
it would seem that we have been spending the last half an hour on one topic.
I know, but
hold on.
it's all interrelated.
No,
so it's all
governance-
interrelated.
Governance is an important issue.
Yeah, it is.
And I am yet to get to understand. I never said or never heard anybody say we had to make any decision in a hurry. I never heard that. So maybe I wasn't listening properly. Governance is very important. And it is very important to me personally as well as to the TTFA. And I understand if you're saying to me, but Joanne, it doesn't say here that you're allowed to make any decisions at all because the Constitution says that the board makes all the executive decisions. And I'm saying to you that the Constitution is a living and breathing thing. And we are dealing with a living and breathing organization. So I'm asking you now, which decisions do you think we should leave to the board and which decisions you think we should take day to day? Because the Constitution doesn't make any distinction. It makes no distinction whatsoever. So if you go down the line, that's something. Let's be practical.
I got to take responsibility. I was wrong to endorse Infantino. I give Lasana. He won wrong one.
No,
let's move on.
No,
if that will make it, settle the argument.
Hold on. There are future relationships to deal with here as well. So let's be practical and let's be adult about this. Because at the end of the day, no constitution, FIFA constitution doesn't give Infantino any decision making.
All right. So
CONCACAF constitution.
Just because of time, because I want to move on, and because Mr. Williams has agreed that he should not have said should not have suggested Infantino before the board ratified it. Okay, fine. But going forward, I think just for clarity, John, this is my suggestion. I mean, you all have your own committee and you all can decide for yourselves. My idea would be, I understand what the Constitution is saying, and I understand what you're saying. The Constitution is because the Constitution is based on a particular document in terms of this is the facts. You deal with the practical situation, and in practically, it is very impossible to wait until a board meets to make decisions.
Correct.
So normally, what happens is that the board agree that we're going to set up this subcommittee, which could be called the EXCO. You all could call it whatever name you all want to call it, the case may be. But there should be something in writing. This is my opinion, and it would help Lasana too as well. Something in writing that says, hey, this is the every 30 people, it won't make it illegal. The Constitution can have it. But if the board of directors decide and they all agree in writing, they could sign off on the Constitution. Once it is okay. That's like your knowledge, my business knowledge is the same way in terms of going forward. So therefore, but you would need all of the directors to agree that this is the way we're going to go.
Okay, Andre, I take your point. I take Lasana's point. I also need to say to you that we're right at this point revising our constitution to pick up the changes that were brought on by FIFA and CONCACAF.
Who was revising it?
And
could I ask?
I sent a letter out to every one of our board members, and some of them volunteered to do that.
So many board members.
Well, I mean, I can't write to board members and say, you will. All I can do is say, folks, this is what we need to do.
I think something as important as that should go back to the general general body.
Lasana, you have an opinion, and I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm on the board, and we need to now take things forward. And I've written to all the board members, and I
well, the board members themselves will be representatives of the general council.
Exactly.
They should, as a board member, pass it on to their respective council.
Exactly.
That's how it's supposed. That's how it normally works.
All the stakeholders, save and except futsal, beach soccer, one other, a TTYSO. And somebody is not represented on the board.
Lasana, what we actually did was we wrote to every board member, and I can produce a copy of that if you like, and I said to them, not only am I asking them to participate, but they're to pass it on to the organizations that they represent. And in fact, the Referees Association has not only come forward with the person on the board who's a referee, but with 2 other people who are part of the Referees Association as well. So we're not enemies in this.
All right, so let's move on. I know you found something you wanted to talk to us about.
Lasana says, and the pattern, and he wrote in an article where David John-Williams hosted a meeting of the CFU and never informed the board.
You wrote that, Lasana?
Right?
Yes, I did.
And he said a board member who preferred to remain anonymous
told him this.
Which
is fair.
Which is fair.
It was 2 board members.
Two board members say that they don't know anything about that. Okay, right, and it's very interesting. You know, if 2 board members could say that David John-Williams, we know nothing about that, he doing his own thing, right? If I come to you, Andre, I'm a reporter, and you know Andre on social media, Andre, I hear
X, Y, and Z. No,
I hear X, Y. No, I'm not put it bluntly, and I don't mean anything. Your neighbor say, who want to remain anonymous, that is beat your wife every day, like one point on social media.
Yes.
Who prefer to remain anonymous? But I just want to read for those same board members.
Yeah. And I could say that I could show the messages where I tried to contact Mr. Williams.
And I want to stress on that.
Go ahead.
And I want to prove that. Two incidents. Mr. Lasana Liburd did try to contact me with regards to our comment. The first one, driving over Lady Young Road, right? I was just in the vicinity of the walkover. And I'll produce the WhatsApp message to ask me to comment, right? Driving over Lady Young Road. By the time I reached to Hilton in the car park, the article was posted. I responded to Lasana, I see you have posted the article. You know what he said to me, and I'll produce it. 5 minutes is enough time to respond. You want to produce that, or you want me to produce it?
I don't have the WhatsApp.
No.
But I know it's more than 2 as well.
No, okay. Is that not a fact, Lasana? That you said 5 minutes was enough time to respond? And the other one would have been the recent article with Gordon Derrick. He sends a WhatsApp message to me at 7:40 p.m. I can produce it again. I'll show you. And by 10 to 8, I printed the article. The article was posted.
You give it 10 minutes then.
You give it 10 minutes to respond. So I just want to say, he wrote in an article that 2 board members who prefer to remain anonymous said they knew nothing about that. 8 board meeting agenda sent to all the board members. I won't call their names. You can read it out if you want.
I'd like to read it out. You can get to me now.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have to see what it is.
What's the date of the board?
The date is marked June the 15th. That's in here. June the 15th.
No, as the meeting for the date it was sent out.
Oh, sorry. The date it was sent out was June the 13th.
June the 13th.
June the 13th. And it says, Good morning, board member. Please be reminded that the 8th board meeting is scheduled for 3 p.m. Wednesday on June the 15th.
Yeah.
Attached to the agenda of the 8th board meeting, the TTFA is hosting the CFU men's under 20 qualifiers, blah, 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 blah.
I want you to read the minutes of the agenda.
So let me read the minutes, yes.
The agenda, sorry.
Yes, the agenda, basically. The agenda is, of course, the prayer, the confirmation of the agenda, the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on April the 27th, the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on May the 18th, matters arising from the minutes of the board meeting held on May the 18th, and then the following: report of the president, including HR audit, Caribbean Professional Football League, CONCACAF Women's Football Day, the launch of Wolf. 6. Proposed structure of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association.
So the board members said, and I'll quote from the article. I'll quote from the article.
Yes.
That David John-Williams failed to even inform the board member. That particular board meeting was aborted because only 3 people attended. Joanne Salazar, David John-Williams, Joseph Taylor.
Anthony Moore.
Anthony Moore, and Dexter Skeen arrived late.
So this would have been the email on this side.
So to confirm then, so you said that you spoke about the Caribbean meeting at a board meeting that didn't happen. Is that it?
That was on the agenda.
It was on the agenda to speak about the meeting that didn't happen.
Yes.
And this email was sent on June 13th. The CFE meeting was on June 19th.
Yeah.
When did the letters go to the Caribbean officials inviting them?
On the 3rd of June.
On the 3rd of June.
Yes, correct.
So again, this is just proof from you showing that you're asking the board about something after you already gone and put things in train already, right?
But the board didn't have to ratify that? Did the board have to ratify that, Mr. Lasana Liburd?
No, well, okay, before we do that part, Lasana, so the board members who you could look at the names of all people who the email would have gone to, and let's be honest here. Would the people who you would have spoken to, we don't have to say their names obviously, we don't want their names. Would they have been emailed? Have they been emailed?
What's the specific bit about the Caribbean meeting?
No, hold on. Before you do that, answer my question. With all fairness,
right?
In the 2 members who would have told you that they were not informed of the meeting, are their names on the email? Would they have received this email based on what you've seen here? That's all I want to know. I think I want the public. I just want the truth.
Yes.
So they would have received the email.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that we can sometimes wonder what they would have told you based on that?
Okay, you read again the part that deals with the Caribbean meeting.
This is number... proposed structure of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association.
No, the part now, they hosted, the story was about the hosting of a meeting of all the Caribbean delegates. They invited 31. All didn't show up, right? They said they never heard about that meeting. Now you tell me, read out there the part that deals with that Caribbean meeting.
Okay, so the question that you asked them was, were they involved in a meeting to do...
Do they know anything about a meeting that John-Williams held that hosted the different delegates from the Caribbean and in which invoices went to the TTFA?
No.
But this is something completely different here.
I don't understand what you're referring to then.
Yeah. I don't know about invoices.
Andre, this is head. Listen. It says, report of the president, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Right? Caribbean Professional League, UEFA CONCACAF.
No. I think what we need is, to be fair to Lasana, if we could get his article.
Let me read the article.
Yeah. I want to be fair to him. So I would like to read his article, exactly what he says.
2 board members told Wired that John-Williams never asked or even informed the local body that he was using TTFA money to help fund his Caribbean Football League ambitions. This is what the article said, right?
Okay.
Ambitions. Or he planned to run for CFU office in the first place. In none of the board meetings that they come up at the TTFA, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, it also spoke about the hosting of the meeting, right?
And what I ask you to do, Andrew, is to read the part there that speaks to the John-Williams hosting a Caribbean meeting in Trinidad, with which, like I said, in the end, invoices went to the TTFA. And I wanted to read that from what he sent out.
Let's deal with
and also about him going up for CFP president.
Let's deal with one point at a time.
The
first
it's not there.
No, hold on.
That's the only point we're discussing.
No, hold on. No. The first point was that you said that there are 2 board members who said they didn't know. Clearly, that is
yes.
not the case.
I agree with you.
That's the first point.
No.
No, but his question was to do it about a particular meeting. I don't know if it was to do with this meeting.
They answered their own questions.
Yeah,
my question to them was if they knew that a CFP meeting was being held.
Hold on, Andre.
They did.
Here. Well, please show me where in there.
Because they would know.
Well, could you read it, please? Somebody, Andre, could you read the part that speaks to the CFP meeting being hosted at the Marriott Hotel?
Could anyone determine the report of the president, what the president is going to speak about the Caribbean Professional League, UEFA and CONCACAF? Look at that.
All right, no. Okay, I think here's where this agenda is a general agenda. It lists a number of items. One of them does say Caribbean Professional Football League. It does say that. It
Right.
does say that.
And
It does say that.
What do you take? And do you
Right?
take from what you just read there?
Yeah.
That they are going to host 31
No,
officials.
of course not. Of course not. In all fairness, I can't
Joanne is
tell
taking it now, so I think Joanne is going to read it and tell me.
I can't
No,
tell
no,
that.
no.
Because you're trying to suggest that my sources were dishonest.
I'm not suggesting anybody's dishonest. I am taking it. I'm saying to you, because I sent this agenda out, and I know the discussions that we've had within the TTFA, and I can't produce the minutes, because there are no minutes of casual discussions. But one of the things that we do is report every month the president reports on key issues, and just as we have said here, Caribbean Professional Football League, and you'll see after it UEFA and CONCACAF. That is why that is there. So I would agree. The agenda item doesn't say Caribbean Professional Football League, a workshop is being hosted on the 17th of June.
Thank you.
It does not say that.
I'm glad you accept that.
But here it says Caribbean Professional Football League UEFA / CONCACAF.
Roxanne, if you heard those three things pointed out, would you deduce from that the TTFA, that John Williams was about to host 31 CFU officials at the Marriott with invoices going to the TTFA, and that he was going to launch a CFU presidential bid from those three things?
Lasana.
Because this is what I asked. This is what I asked my sources about.
Hold on.
This is what I asked my sources about.
Let's just clarify that. Did you do that?
Did do what?
Did you use this event? Did you use this event
To launch my presidential?
To launch a presidential?
I didn't.
Right. Did you have a meeting at where the Hyatt, they said?
Marriott.
The Marriott?
Yes, there was a meeting at the Marriott.
Go ahead.
And Lasana chose not to say that 17 member associations signed a memorandum of understanding.
It actually is in the article.
Hold on. And mind you, the thing about the article, it only spells about two things. It went on to speak a lot about Gordon Derrick.
I forget about Gordon Derrick.
No, because it has a lot. Because it speaks that I used UEFA. No, I used TTFA money to launch a campaign bid.
Do you feel? And let me ask you honestly. And I know he's here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that Lasana Liburd is speaking for Gordon Derrick? Honestly,
It gives me the impression.
No, we can't say.
I can't say it. It gives me the impression. I can't say that.
No, we
It
can't
gives me the
say.
impression. It gives me the impression. Because when someone can write, listen to me carefully, thing.
Andre, I think it's fair to say that it would be unfair for us to impugn motives.
No, I understand. No. Okay, fine.
But all we are after is that things are reported in a balanced way. That's the only thing. Because that's the only thing you can request. It would be, ridiculous
But you have,
to impugn motives.
just to be clear,
for
you haven't
example,
shown yet where I've been wrong with anything I wrote.
Lasana saw in the letter.
No, but you see, the thing
He saw in the letter from CONCACAF where he spoke about let's go have a drink and so on. He quoted from the letter. He also, in that particular letter, also had where CONCACAF was supporting it financially. But he says, and it's a way of writing, to make it nice. In his headlines, he says DJW allegedly used FIFA fund to a campaign, right? And he says allegedly to protect him legally. But the manner which is written, that we use TTFA money to fund a bid and use TTFA money to launch.
Do you want to be the CFU president?
I have announced my candidacy.
Okay. So what would be wrong with Lasana then suggesting that you're using these methods as a way to become the president?
Because it's not true.
It's not true. Because it's not true. And you can ask the 17 presidents if there was... You can call the 17 presidents and ask if that was a discussion.
Did any of the invoices for that meeting go to TTFA?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And we did not use TTFA money, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think it proper that you with your own Caribbean ambitions, you run up a bill and send it to the TTFA without informing the board of directors?
Lasana, you're being very liberal.
No, I did point... No, wait, just a second. I did say in the story that UEFA has agreed to pay and CONCACAF. It's in that story.
No, but Lasana, you're making some very strong statements, like you're saying that it's for you to use... Did you think it was appropriate for you to use TTFA funds to fund your own ambitions?
Well, TTFA acted as a guarantor.
Look, hold on. TTFA did not act as a guarantor, Lasana.
Okay, so tell us what happened.
Why did the invoice go to TTFA?
Tell us what happened.
We were given a guarantee of funding,
From CONCACAF?
From CONCACAF and from UEFA.
Okay, fine.
Okay? And we had to produce a budget, and I'm saying we because I had to do it.
Sure.
We had to produce a budget. We gave them the what the budget came to. They said they would provide the funding. They have done that. Okay? So...
his question, in all fairness to him, his question, and I've heard what he said, is, while that is so, is it that the funding did not come in time and the Trinidad Football Association paid the funding and were reimbursed?
I never said they paid, though. I said the invoice went
No, but I want to find out that. I'm asking that. I'm asking
hold on. Part of supporting the budget estimate, because I did the budget estimate, was getting invoices from, for instance, the interpretation service.
No, forget all that. No, I think the bottom line is, because of time, the bottom line is, when the invoices came to the Trinidad Football Association, was it that the Trinidad Football Association paid the money and then were reimbursed?
Correct.
Okay, fine. So I think that's what you want to know.
But let me be very clear here, because I don't want to let go of this statement.
Sure.
The statement that was made by Lasana, which he has not withdrawn, but he cannot substantiate, is that did you use TTFA funding to finance your CFU ambitions? And the answer to that is flatly no.
Okay, fine.
Right?
The most important point to that is the reimbursement from CONCACAF would flatly deny that.
Correct.
Once you can prove that there was reimbursement.
Correct.
Andre, I think that's absolutely wrong.
Yes,
that they'll say that the reimbursement denies anything. How could you use TTFA money without going to the board of directors first? How is that possible? Andre, if you are Toyota, would do it.
Andre, so therefore, I didn't hear Lasana question me about not going to the board of directors for the China tour and to make the payments for the China tour. What's the difference? What's the difference? You as a managing director.
No, hold on. Let's stop here. Let's look at it from
this extraordinary.
Let's look at it from this perspective.
That's extraordinary.
That's extraordinary.
Hold on. I think we're coming back to one essential point.
Andre, I have to say, this whole agenda appears to be driven by Lasana and his perception of how we should be managing the TTFA.
Yes, exactly.
I have a feeling.
Well, maybe according to the Constitution.
No, because at the end of the day, the Constitution does not cover everything. I keep saying to you, all the money that we've paid for the China tour is not covered by the Constitution.
All right, so let me just stop it because I'm on time, and I really want to get on the Trinidad Football Association business as much as possible.
Well, this is TTFA.
I know, as well. So, David, how can we go forward and Joanne go forward in terms of going forward, in terms of administration? Of course, there's always been this problem with Trinidad Football Association and funding.
But Andre, one thing, I want to know if they could use TTFA money for something that's not TTFA business and then have it reimbursed. And I want you all to say this is normal business as well, if normal practice in any company.
Andre, in response to your question, which I think is a valid question, I did say that at the moment we are revising the Constitution, and it's conversations like this and perspectives like this that make you think, well, okay, at the end of the day, maybe that some things need to be tightened. So in terms of going forward, and as I say, more than a month ago, I wrote out to all my board members, and since we have to produce documents, I can produce documents, because there certainly can be no board member who wishes to remain anonymous who didn't get that email, saying to them, listen, I gave them a copy of FIFA's latest statutes, a copy of CONCACAF's latest statutes.
What does it have to do with the point?
Hold on, a copy of the governance regulations, the latest governance regulations of FIFA, and I gave them the latest version of our statutes. And I said, based on these documents, folks, a group of us need to get together and update the Constitution. So to answer your question, Andre, what we have to do now
I'm moving on from this question right now. I want to move on. Hold on.
Let me finish, David. What we have to do is build in the issues that are now being raised, because I now see how it looks.
All right, fine.
Look, Andre, I just want to say something. I didn't see a board member complain that when $1 million was spent on tickets without board approval to go to China, $1 million came out of the TTFA coffers to pay for China, Uruguay, and Peru. I didn't hear a board member make a fuss about that. How could you take $1 million decision?
If I could answer, Andre, I'm very sorry. I'm not able to cover every single issue coming to the TTFA every single day, and I don't call board members and so on for every single one. I did call about this one, what I want to know
is it fair to say that you feel that the board members, the ones you call, the unnamed sources that you call, is it fair to say that they are dissatisfied with David John-Williams? Honestly.
we don't even need to speak about the board members because he's already said right here that he used TTFA money. What I'm saying...
But I'm asking you, in talking to them, what is your opinion, your assessment?
To be honest, I haven't asked them for a personal opinion on David John-Williams.
But you don't have to ask people. Sometimes you can garner, you're a journalist yourself, you can garner from someone's language and their tone.
Andre, there's so much here in
I know,
black and white apart from personalities.
Forget that, but I'm still asking the question. Do you gather that they're not happy with the administration? That's the only question I'm asking, honestly.
I would say one of those two members is not happy.
Right.
And the other one, I don't think that they are unhappy.
All right.
I don't know if they're happy. I don't know that they're unhappy.
What about this whole question of this EXO committee? What are their opinions on it?
Andre, first, I really want to ask if anybody in this room here and in any company would use company funds.
We agree with. I agree 100% with what you just say. We agree.
We agree. So we agree with that as well, Joanne and David.
I disagree.
No.
So
I agree. This is my. Once it's not put in writing, this would have been my idea. I would have said that. I would have said that it was a documentation.
Andre,
you
are managing director of a company.
I know, but
Andre, you are managing director of a company.
We understand that, but okay,
right?
I know there will be situations.
If you are not putting the company at risk, as far as I'm concerned, you can make that decision.
All right,
Andre.
Okay. Withdraw.
All right.
So if I'm in a company, I can withdraw money from my company's account to build a swimming pool in my yard. Once I know I'm going to put it back in.
I'm taking offense at this. Lasana keeps making reference to improper use of funds. I ask him right now, after this meeting, to produce evidence of the improper nature of the funds. Don't keep making the statement. Don't keep making the statement. I don't want to hear what you're saying.
He needs to prove it.
You keep making
he needs to prove it.
About
but you
improper
proved it,
use.
David.
No. You're making the statement. I'm telling you.
But you proved it.
No. I'm saying to you, we have not made any improper use of funds. And he keeps alluding to it and alluding to it.
I'm actually not alluding to it. I'm stating it.
Or shut up.
Well, okay, and I will go again. I mentioned the part of the Constitution which said that the executive arm is the board of directors.
No,
right?
I'm talking about funds, Lasana. You can't be loose-lipped about this. You keep talking about how as a company or somebody as a company could make use of funds that's not part of the business of the company.
If I go on, I'll explain. No, I'm not alluding. I'm stating.
Right.
I'm not alluding.
Then produce your evidence.
Well, I'm trying to.
No.
All right.
So, hard evidence.
All right.
So your opinion.
So that will have to be done after. Let's come back.
Hard evidence. Hard evidence is the Constitution which says that the board of directors makes the decisions.
Hard evidence about improper use of funds.
Can I continue? Again, I'm being stopped.
Yes, because you're making very personal statements.
Okay, can I continue?
Go ahead.
Okay. So we have the Constitution which says the board of directors makes the executive decisions, right? Then we have a case where the TTFA president and his executive withdrew money from the TTFA's account without passing through the board of directors. And I'm saying that is improper use of funds, regardless of whether the money is coming back in or not. It is not up to David John-Williams and his vice presidents to decide whether to take money out to fund the Caribbean Football League.
Lasana has to produce. He can have an opinion.
Still want me to produce?
No, he can have an opinion like everybody else.
That is not your opinion. That was not the opinion.
He has to produce the invoices.
But why didn't you produce it? He just said it.
No, you can't make
But you
statements
just
like
said
that.
they used the money.
No, because in your definition, what you are defining as improper is actually not improper. So either you have to come up with something that substantiates what you're saying, or move on.
So we got the time. I want to move on. I understand, and of course I know over time you all somehow will sort this out. Going forward, David John-Williams.
No, Lasana, Andre, we dwell on one point, and there's a pattern evolving. Lasana Liburd wrote an article that David John-Williams admits to fingering in selection of our under-20 team.
You'll have to quote. I have to go further than that. Fingering in what?
Fingering in selection of a Trinidad and Tobago.
Fingering means interfering, right?
Interfering, yes.
Okay.
Isn't that true, Lasana? Did you write that article? Yes or no?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Are you referring to the Brian Williams story?
No.
Leave it, David.
No, I'll read for you.
Yeah.
Did you write that article that David John-Williams admitted to fingering in selection of national under-20 team, and when I picked up the phone and I called you, pulled down the article immediately?
That never happened.
That never happened.
So you want me to explain what happened now?
No. Okay.
Did he call you? Did he call you?
He did call me.
Did you not pull down the article and write an apology immediately?
No. I didn't pull down any article. I changed a paragraph in the article.
Yes. So listen. This is what he said. David John-Williams admitted That's libelous, admitted to fingering and picking a national under-20 team.
Tell me when you're ready to hear what happened, or my side of what happened, Andre. If you finish explaining.
I just asked if that was written.
Mm-hmm. He admitted that was written, and he said he changed it. He did say he changed it. I didn't pull any story. He did say he changed it.
Let me say what was written.
Sure.
Now, we got a press release from the TTFA, which spoke about Mr. Williams.
Brian Williams.
Right. The article spoke about Brian Williams as coach and spoke about David John-Williams as TTFA president.
Right.
The article said that Mr. Williams made certain suggestions in terms of the national team and whatever it is.
There's David John-Williams.
Well, let's say you made the same mistake that I made.
Okay,
because it said Mr. Williams,
yeah, so it
and I thought it was John. I thought it was the president, John Williams.
Fine.
And once being corrected of that, I adjusted it.
Okay, fine.
No, we need to. No, Andre, that's semantics. Hold on, and then I will produce.
Did we plan that, Andre? Did we plan that just now?
Andrew,
I didn't even know.
One at a time.
Before you make such a libelous statement, you will check your facts.
You'll check your facts, right? And he immediately, when I called him,
But we all make mistakes.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But David, we all make mistakes.
That was a libelous statement.
I know, but he corrected it.
And he immediately pulled on the article.
He took your call. He took your call and he made a mistake. He made it correct.
Williams,
and repeat it again. Immediately corrected it. Wonderful.
No. In all fairness.
The damage had already been done.
All right.
Hold on. Let me go on. The
right.
pattern evolving. The TTFA sends out a release that Pellerud is paid. You know,
Evan Pellerud is paid, right?
You know, Lasana article. TTFA President David John-Williams claimed to have paid Pellerud. Is that a pattern not evolving? Let's go a little. Let's go a little further.
I would ask us another question.
All right. Tour to China. W Connection had 5 picks. No comments about it. Alvin Jones was called up as a replacement for Justin Hoyt. He writes, W Connection benefits from our 6 picks. Very suggestive statement, and I have the article. You understand? And W Connection is fourth in the table. Why Central? He talking facts here, but very suggestive. But you know what hurtful about that, Andre? All those players were selected by Steve Hart long before I became president of the TTFA. To be so suggestive in an article like that is being very. No, I want to say more.
You have a next one again?
I have more, Andre.
And in all of these things here, no errors of fact whatsoever.
Go ahead.
Right? Andre. So
no, but you see, that's the issue.
That's the issue. That is why Lasana could write those things, because he don't have an editor to deal with. He's his own editor, so he could put those things out on Facebook to provoke a comment. Because why would you say specifically to W Connection?
He's here. He can answer it himself.
Right. Well, Andre, for instance, if 6 players, let's say Manchester United got picked for the England team and Manchester United were 4th or 5th, wouldn't somebody mention it across in England in the press, perhaps? That they had more teams than the championship team, just as there were stories speaking about the players in Leicester, for instance, that maybe could have gotten in but didn't. It's a matter of fact anyway. In any case,
it is being very suggestive, right?
But I mean, a journalist has the option to object.
It's the same thing with Alvin Cornell.
Yeah, journalists have that option.
Who wrote an article saying that Mr. John-Williams is sitting by the phone waiting for transfer fees because he has 6 players on the field.
I know, but people could be so
that's being very disingenuous.
No, I don't know if it's disingenuous.
It's a pattern that is evolving.
But okay, but if the actual if there are indeed 6 players on the team, whatever he suggests around it, the bottom line is the facts. So however you write it, that is a writing ability. So let me ask him a question. I want to ask him: is it that you have an agenda? Forget it. I'm getting your opinion from David John-Williams, and maybe not so much from Joanne, but maybe a little bit, that there's a feeling, and they could correct me if I'm wrong or right, that there's a feeling that Lasana Liburd has an agenda, and the agenda is not the agenda we've seen on this sheet. The agenda is an agenda against David John-Williams. How do you respond to that?
What I'm interested in is good governance. I spoke for a good part of the day and saying what I found to be examples of bad governance. Now we turn now to W Connection. I'm happy for us.
No, you didn't answer my question.
Sorry.
Is there an agenda against the David John-Williams administration?
I have nothing against the David John-Williams administration personally, But like I said, I do find more than one instance of the John Williams administration right now simply not abiding by the Constitution at all. Now we understand they're trying to change the Constitution. Fine, but I do have problems with that. As he mentioned, W connection, though, I'd like to go into the whole matter of conflict of interest. We could go there. For instance, there was a FIFA TMS conference just recently, workshop in San Jose, Costa Rica. There was one...
TMS is...
That's the transfer management system.
Right, okay, right. Yeah,
now, there was one FIFA TTFA employee that went, Sharon O'Brien.
Yeah.
There was also one other person who went along with her from a club in Trinidad. David, who went along with Sharon O'Brien?
Rene John-Williams.
Okay.
And who recommended that? I just want to. I want you to know. I want you.
Yeah.
Are you saying that David John-Williams recommended Rene John-Williams to go?
I didn't say
Okay,
that.
I have a question.
no,
I didn't say that. I asked them
Okay.
who went.
Rene John-Williams.
No, we have been speaking before about the whole matter.
hold on.
No, because
Who recommended her?
okay, but that's not.
I want you to know who invited Rene John-Williams because you're suggesting conflict of interest.
So you don't see a conflict of
Okay,
interest?
well, okay. I would like to know, for me, Mr. Williams, who recommended that? CONCACAF recommended that.
Yes.
Rene.
Yes.
Be the one to come, and no, there were no room for anybody else.
There was
for any
Rene
other
John-Williams.
team. Just Rene John-Williams.
Exactly.
Well.
No, he's being suggestive. He's going. Listen. He wants to talk about conflict of interest. There were two people went: Sharon O'Brien and Rene.
But I got the release, and I was only told about Sharon O'Brien, though.
No,
So that was kind of
Andre,
interesting.
listen to his opening statement was conflict of interest. Let's talk about conflict of interest.
Well, could you explain, though, why the TTFA release never mentioned that Rene John-Williams went on that talk?
I didn't get that one.
Roxy saw the release as well. She only saw Sharon O'Brien.
My apologies.
Is there any reason for that?
No,
That's
which
new
point
to me.
hold on, which point are we dealing with? Because we just talked about the fact that your journalist, under a journalistic hat, mistakes could be made. Less than perfect information could be given out.
Okay.
Fine. So which is the issue here? The conflict of interest is which was your opening statement, or the fact that we could argue the press release was incomplete? Wait a minute, David. Which is it?
Is it that the press release was incomplete?
Right. I'm asking you, which is your point? Let me find out what your point is.
Well, I want to find out why Rene John-Williams was selected.
Right.
For instance.
And now you see.
Andre, let me say, this is not the first one she went on. She went on one prior to me becoming president.
Now, Lasana, what you've just done there
and he's saying conflict of interest. I wouldn't allow her to do that.
Also, she had gone on one before this.
Exactly.
She's been on others before.
On others before.
But
Right.
Lasana, this is...
Could you say which FIFA or CONCACAF workshops was invited on before?
Hold on, let me speak. What you just did when you said all you wanted to do was find out how come Rene went is all you had to ask. But you didn't start off there. You started off with a conflict of interest. And you started off by building an intrigue around Sharon O'Brien, who's a TTFA representative, and who was the other person, David. So, so what I'm saying
Joanne,
is
I'm not even finished on the point of conflict of interest. I'm just starting
Okay,
there.
well, hold on. Well, let me deal with the point you've actually raised. You raised conflict of interest, and I'm saying that eventually you said, well, what you wanted to find out was how come Rene John-Williams went. And that's all you had to ask.
Did you answer the question?
No, well, I did answer. The question has been answered. She was personally invited by CONCACAF.
Okay, nobody finds that at all. Do you have any release or anything from CONCACAF? Why wasn't it put in the press release?
No, but Lasana, what is the issue? Now what is the issue? Is conflict of interest the issue? What is the issue now?
Okay,
you raised conflict of interest.
This is that,
CONCACAF
Andre.
invited
Okay,
them.
Andre, let me ask you. Okay,
go ahead.
They're holding a conference on transfer management. Okay, we have 10 Pro League clubs. The champion Pro League club is Central FC. We have a Pro League administration. If you had one spot, would you send a member of the Pro League administration who could then pass the information on to all 10 Pro League clubs? Or would you select one Pro League team out of a hat and come up with the daughter of the TTFA president?
No, of course.
Just a second. I'm asking Andre now. I'm asking Andre now. I'm asking Andre what would make sense to you.
When it comes to my family,
yes,
and you are implying that I use my good office to make sure Rene John-Williams attended a TMS workshop. You understand?
Yeah.
That's libelous. That is very libelous.
Andre, I think it's really unfortunate because, yes, Lasana has a point of view about who should have attended if rationality applied at every level of decision-making. But we did not make that decision.
Well, I think to clarify this decision...
No, Andre.
No.
I asked Andre a question.
His question, in all fairness, David, to clarify his question, I guess, from his point of view, if we would see the recommendation from CONCACAF, it would assist. It would assist in making him.
All he has to do is ask CONCACAF.
Right.
Yes, but don't be so suggestive.
Right. Okay. But okay. So he needs to ask. Tonight we have found out that CONCACAF. I decided this.
And I want him to publish that.
No. Tonight we have found
conflict
out.
of interest.
I know.
I want him to publish that.
Hold straight. Tonight we
Andrew, this is a problem I have. And you say that I may not have a stronger feeling about it as David. This is a problem I have. Lasana wanted to find out who selected Rene. Perfectly reasonable request.
It's a good request.
If the press release,
as well as why it wasn't, why the public wasn't informed of it.
Why I have a difficulty in what the public should be informed about.
How long ago
but that's just me.
Last month.
If Lasana, as you say, one of Trinidad's leading investigative journalists, we wouldn't have had any difficulty finding out who ran the course, because he knows we didn't run it. And it can only be CFU, CONCACAF, or FIFA. 3 phone calls. He would have found out it was CONCACAF. He would have been able to find out who in CONCACAF invited her. So for me, this is what I have an issue with. Nothing is factually wrong, but it's what is being suggested that's the issue.
I'm sure just the same way that there was nothing untoward at all in Darren and Darrell and anyone else with the different FIFA positions they held, because those positions would not even probably came through FIFA and CONCACAF as well.
Warner's sons. He's talking about Warner's sons.
Well,
yes.
I can't begin
we can't discuss that.
I can't begin to comment on that.
Also,
I fail to see the connection between us being here today and trying to get to the bottom of why questions and suggestions are being made, and Darren Warner. I don't know the connection.
Okay. I think you anyway.
I just want to make another point.
Sure.
I want to go back to the article with CFU, where he suggested that the CFU president will have a team in the Caribbean Professional League. We haven't even reached there. It's months away, but he's suggesting that.
All right.
No. Hold on, Andre. Hold on.
I know, but
hold on. And he goes on to say that it's the same thing with Jack Warner. But I never saw him mention Gordon Derrick owning Antigua Barracudas, playing in the Caribbean Club Championship, and was never a bona fide member of the Caribbean Football Union who played. I never see those things. So when I read those things, there is not balance to the story.
And fine.
There's not balance to the story.
If you Google Antigua Barracudas and Derrick, you would see me mentioning that fact before. It's been done before. And there may very well be other FAs that do it and have people that do it. I would just happen to be dealing with Trinidad and Tobago. That's where I'm from.
So let me just ask this question. The CONCACAF payments to the Caribbean Football Union, did you ever have a chance to ask Gordon Derrick about the establishment of this?
About the what, sorry?
The payments that were made to the CFU Inc.
Yes.
And what was his response to the letter from Ted Howard, where they said FIFA is reviewing the payments and the authenticity and how they
to be honest, I went through that in length in a story about a week or two ago, and the CFU had in fact informed CONCACAF before that they were going to form a new change bank accounts.
All right, okay, Andre.
Hold on. No, let him finish.
Since about August, the account they had previously was in the Cayman Islands Fidelity Bank, and they were no longer interested essentially in passing money on to CFU or being involved in different transfer and so on because of the issues with Jeffrey Webb and everything else, and Jeffrey Webb was the director and so on, and I don't even know how we got back onto the CFU thing. I thought we were going fine with the TTFA.
Okay,
business.
Andre.
So the letter from
I don't have that story in front of me, but he did respond to it, and
the letter that said that no more money will be paid to CFU until the investigation.
Right, and money has been paid since.
And the fact that I've seen that the document, because I have the documents, right? I've seen that the shares changed from the Bahamas to Jamaica a week after the letter.
A week after that letter?
A week after that letter.
I went over that as well.
Those are questions I would have loved him to answer, because, finance is my background, obviously, right? Yeah. And so in checking, it's something definitely suspicious about that part of it in terms of me for Gordon Derrick.
And he chose not to ask about it.
And because I have questions on that.
I did ask about it. He said he chose not to ask about it. I did ask about it. I have it in the story.
So for me, that creates doubt on Gordon Derrick, and because of this particular document that I have in front of me.
What Gordon Derrick said is that shares were never issued before.
That is not true because I have in front of me the articles of association.
You just said it went from the Cayman Islands to Jamaica.
The articles of each company, when you form a company, you get what is called articles of association from the particular company.
Right, 10,000 shares.
Right, from the particular. So there's an article of association from Bahamas and there's an article of association from Jamaica. The only way it could be transferred in business is through shares. There's no other way. He can tell you whatever he want to tell you. He can
what I'm saying is that before, when they open the company,
that's not true. No, that's not true. They add for Lasana, that's not true. Trust me, right? To have articles of association and you must issue shares. Must, M-U-S-T. They have no doubt. Trust me, and that one. So that BS, for want of a better word. I don't have the story in front of me. But in any case, you don't need to add the document. So, and that's why I haven't done with Gordon Derrick.
But you see, the thing is, I've never met Gordon Derrick.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
not speaking on behalf of Gordon Derrick.
No, I know.
So Gordon Derrick's position on this is in the story, and that's for people to dissect or so on. They're free to do that.
I know. But
I'm happy to get back to conflict of interest and the other matters.
I'm agree, but from a CFU point of view, that's just my own question. Right. When you create that doubt, I have doubts, obviously, on some of the other things going forward. All right. So
because, I mean, to be fair, though, I am not able to say what Derrick said.
Yes, of course.
Because I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah. But I think also that the expectation is that extracts of letters wouldn't be produced. The whole letter would be produced. And that's part of the problem.
You see, I don't know if I agree with that in all fairness, Joanne, because I remember from a journalist point of view, I mean, people don't like to hear this, but sometimes you take a story and you look for what is the best angle, and once it's not illegal and it's not inflammatory, and so you pull the information that is central to Trinidad and Tobago sometimes more than essential to the rest of the region.
And I have no problem with that, Andre, if it is sold as that and not as fact. If it is sold as your interpretation or your opinion, I have no problem with that.
It was fact.
Right.
And if it's not fact, tell me what's not factual.
Right. So, for instance, when you extract what supports the angle of the story as you just outlined, Andre, that is not fact. That's selective.
But it might be selective fact. Because
I don't understand what you're saying. Joanne, tell me what is not fact.
And I have no
if you want to back up your statement, Joanne, tell me what is not fact in any of the articles that I wrote.
I'm responding to Andre when I said that my preference, and I could understand it in terms of words. When you have a contentious article and you only select parts of it, that obviously will create an impression that's different than if the person read the whole letter. But I understand what Andre is saying, that a journalist will reserve the right to pursue a particular angle, and I have no problem with that. But then it must not be represented as fact.
Well, I could speak for myself, and what I would say is that the article, I cannot reproduce 6, 7 emails and letters and so on. That's ridiculous. That's not my job as a reporter to do that. Because that's not what the public wants from me, to reproduce every letter and every document.
No, but
what
Andre,
I'm saying...
And I can't be against Lasana, you know.
What I'm saying is that...
Because you have to write stories to get hits.
Wonderful.
You understand what I mean?
You are here...
And the classic about that is that Lasana will not be able to do that in the Express or the Guardian because they have an editor. You understand? But with the new advent of social media, you can write anything and get away with it.
That's actually ignorance of the whole system what the editor does. In any case,
you understand?
You know full well that they could sue an online publication.
And I could have done that already. Mm-hmm. I could have done that already.
Why haven't you?
Take food from a man's mouth.
That's very generous of you.
What did Eric Williams say? Where Williams used to say?
I don't know.
All right, okay.
What I'd like to say, though, as they're both here right now,
Sure.
They're talking about fact. Point out one thing that wasn't factual then.
Where? In what?
In my articles.
In the article?
You're joking,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah.
How long have we got, Andre?
We don't have much time.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let's do the highlights.
Listen to what this gentleman says.
All right.
Listen to what this gentleman says. W Connection owner vowed that the CPL will start in 2 years. I never said that. However, nothing if ambitious. John Williams promised each franchise $28.3 million over 3 years.
And I could say exactly where that came from. It came from the CFU proposal, which I got, that was sent to the different clubs, and I have it in my possession.
Yes, I know.
I don't have it on me right now.
No. Let's
not have it.
No.
Lasana, that's the point I'm trying to make. That at the end of the day,
let me produce
there are a set of slides that show if this particular model of the Caribbean Professional Football League is followed, it will generate this income and this expenditure. Okay. And that is in total for 14 teams. Mm-hmm. Right? So, exactly, this is the point I'm making.
And he went on to say, boy, Andre, there's so much thing that is not fact here. You know,
So for instance, the whole intro to the sentence about John Williams' promise, that's not the case. This is just one model. And let me say, the model is only one version of how you could run a Caribbean football league. That's all.
In the document there, does it say that the league will start in 2 years?
The document never said that.
No,
the document never said that.
The steering committee that was set up decided that they wanted to set itself a target. That's what the steering committee...
And when was the target?
The target is to start...
By 2018.
By 2018.
And 2018 is how many years from 2016?
Nobody said John Williams
2 years?
vowed.
Yeah, but remember...
John Williams
again,
vowed.
You see, it's how you... Those same
And
facts,
what is John Williams' position in the steering committee?
Chairman?
Okay.
Yes, but you said those words came from me. That John Williams vowed. I never had an input in that.
You see, Lasana, what happened...
So when Colin Burt says something as the Minister of Finance, who do we say said it in the budget?
Lasana, you see, that's a very good example because, first of all, number one, the people in the room the people in the room nominated the steering committee.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't mandated, it wasn't mandatory because it wasn't Trinidad. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the model that was presented to them just to show that a Caribbean professional football league is feasible is what was presented. Nobody has agreed to pursue that particular model.
Andre, let me read from the article.
Yeah.
When somebody says the CPFL will have a 26 match schedule, no promotion will is something that has already been proposed and accepted. Is that the English language?
No, it will suggest. Right. Okay.
2 teams will be added in the 4th, 5th, 6th. So this thing has already been accepted as far as if you're reading this report. John Williams promised $28.3 million to each club over an initial 3-year period as guaranteed income and prize money. I'm quoting verbatim now. I'm quoting verbatim. 3 teams will advance to CONCACAF Champions League, which will immediately relegate the TT Pro League and other domestic competitions to the road of feeder leagues. So, if you're reading this article, what did it say? This is already implemented. In the steering committee mandate, in the document, it says to study the impact on the rest of leagues. But when somebody chooses to write, it will, he's being disingenuous.
So, just to confirm, everything I said there was in the proposal. Just to confirm, was it?
Lasana.
No, but just to confirm, yes or no, was it in the proposal?
It was wrongly reported.
Was it in the proposal?
No, Lasana. Lasana. If you said that John
Williams... But you just said that those things were in the proposal.
What's sad about this is that this is a very positive, very dynamic development for Caribbean football. A proposal was put to the table because...
So you're saying it was only a proposal?
It was only...
But it was only a proposal?
So it wasn't finalized?
It was not finalized?
Because Andre...
Right.
Because...
Andre, no, that's important.
Yeah, it is only a proposal. And
Andre, in the article, I said proposal.
You did, okay.
No, but...
In the article, I said proposal.
No. While David is looking for that paper, can I take...
You see what their cast iron examples of incorrect reporting are exactly. If the Minister of Finance says we're going to give $15 million to national security, let's say, and report. So if it doesn't give $15 million, give 13, the journalist was incorrect? No, obviously, things happen over the course with a year, 2 years, or whatever it is. I'm reporting on the proposal that was raised at the meeting.
No, you see, but it's not coming across in the language.
Not about coming across, but if it's right or wrong.
No, it's not right or wrong because it's not coming across that this is just one model for a Caribbean league. And on top of that, nobody has signed off on it. Nobody has agreed.
So this was just one suggestion you're saying?
This is just one suggestion.
Okay. Right. So a proposal, and I wrote on the proposal.
He chose not to read from the memorandum of understanding. Okay? It says the purpose of the MNU is to collaborate efforts by the members to promote and establish a CPFL. The agreement between the member associations will allow for all parties to work together to raise the standard of football in the CFU, to develop national competition and tournament across the CFU.
You don't have to read the entire MOU.
No. I'm not going to read it. I know I'm going to read it because
I think people understand what proposal means and what steering committee means, and both were in the article.
When you report in an article that John Williams, this will happen, and this will happen, when something was only a model, an example used, that's terrible reporting. And when you could quote that John Williams promised, he didn't suggest, He didn't suggest at all.
Andrew,
right?
Can I use this 30 seconds? Because I know
Sure,
you're going to get thrown
sure.
out soon.
Yeah.
Caribbean Professional Football League is a very positive development that's been supported at the highest levels in football to advance the development of football. I know we've not talked about football since we've been here for this whole session, but we need to get that. We haven't had a chance to do that, and perhaps we'll have another chance to do that.
I have to have a part two, because I haven't had a chance to even take callers.
Right, okay. There's a Caribbean, the proposal is, and the task force has been set up to look at the development of a Caribbean Professional Football League, which is the cornerstone of football development in the Caribbean.
Okay, so can we confirm this? Next week, Thursday, same time? Can we? I want to protest you.
No, I won't be here.
You won't be in the country?
No, I won't be in the country.
When will you be back? You are heading out to France?
No, I'm supposed to head off to France, but
So you're going to watch the finals?
No,
I'm supposed to go and watch the finals.
Okay, great.
Andrew, you see that?
Well, I'm just want to clarify, so
Andre,
nobody will feel you're ducking. I don't want people to feel you're running.
As I say, I'm going to France.
Right.
Yeah, but that's Sunday. So
when
are you coming back?
When will you be available? Yes, good question, Roxanne.
When are you coming back?
Because we want to have a part two. I know we have a lot of things to do. And I want the confirmation here.
The next 2 weeks I'll be traveling, and then the CFU elections on the 23rd. All right.
So are you going up for president?
Yes.
But I said that.
I asked it already, I know. Right.
I said that.
So who are you? Who is your major opponent?
Gordon Derrick and Hilarion Frederick.
Hilarion Frederick.
Yeah.
The same Hilarion Frederick who I spoke to, telecom.
The one.
Get here.
Andre, no. You know what's classic about that?
Get here.
Both were ready in the article I did.
Yeah.
This entire stuff.
No, you know the classic about that?
And how much people voting? 31?
Andre, let me tell you the classic about that. Hilarion Frederick sits on the exco of the CFU right now, as well as Gordon Derrick.
Okay.
Right? To suggest that your exco member running against you as president could suggest two things. One, you as an exco member not happy with the...
So the CFU...
Hold on, no, Andre, let me just...
No, I want to ask a question. The CFU have the same establishment that Tobago Football Association, having an exco committee and a board of directors?
Correct.
Hold on.
Just like
So,
FIFA, just like
so hold on. I just want to say.
what I
So
mean.
Hilarion Frederick is sitting on the executive committee of the CFU right now, which is headed by Gordon Derrick. Okay? He has proposed to run as president of the CFU against Gordon Derrick and myself. So for Hilarion Frederick to suggest that he's running against Gordon Derrick, forget David John-Williams, suggest that one, I ain't happy with Gordon Derrick.
I ain't happy with it.
Hold on. Hold on. I just
Personally.
believe that.
No,
or two,
Yeah.
are running as a foil for Gordon Derrick.
No. All three, he just wants to be president
Or
of CFU.
he just wants to be president of CFU.
Right now, our next, we have a under 17 team preparing right now for a tournament. Can I ask Mr. Williams an update on under 17 team and the coaching
Sure,
staff?
right.
And have you asked all the coaches, or have the coaches been asked by the TTFA to reapply for the positions? And how many national coaches are being asked to reapply for positions they already hold?
How many coaches?
National coaches are being asked to reapply for
One
positions.
question. To the first one is what?
Have the under 17 staff been asked to reapply for the positions
Men,
that
right?
have men's team that
Right.
they've held for the last year or whatever it is? And what is the position with the coaching staff there?
Andre, we are going to advertise the position for all coaches.
Also, right now there's no coach. I know. I'm just asking.
As far as I know,
And
he probably knows something that I don't know.
Part
Okay.
of the challenge that we've met as a new administration is a total lack of any documentation,
Okay.
and very poor record keeping,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been not only for I'm not just dwelling on the under 17. So
Yeah.
part of the process that we've had to now manage is moving from where we are to where we need to be. Even in examples which I'm not going to name, whereby we had access perhaps to the former president to say, can you validate what this or that person is
Yeah.
saying? He has been of a different opinion to what has been represented. So there's actually no...
You're talking about Raymond Timkey.
Yes. Right?
Okay.
So we are in the process now of filling out our structure.
So you all have tried to communicate with Raymond Timkey and he has not been what?
No. He's been extremely helpful.
Okay.
The issue has been, though, is that when we have spoken to him and said, listen, X has represented this to us and this is what we've been told, he has said, no, that's not what, that is, he has no recollection of that, or that's not the situation.
But moving past them, that's what we're doing.
We are in the position now of filling both our technical structure and our administrative structure.
Even the both of
When
them
you
are
say
20
fill it, they
people
make
there.
it sound as if the positions are vacant, but they're not. People are in the positions you're referring to, right?
No, there is a transition, and that
Andre,
transition has
I
to
just
be
want to clarify
managed.
it. I just want to clarify. People are in the position right now. There is no documentation, no evidence to support that they have been appointed.
Okay.
Absolutely none. And I challenge any one of them of that technical staff.
Let's be positive. We have asked.
We have asked. We have had a meeting. We have had a meeting. We have asked. And nobody could confirm. We have had a meeting with the staff. Hold on. And we are now in the process of advertising all positions. Every single one.
Including national team, assistant coaches?
All positions we are going to advertise.
Right. Apart from the Stephen Hart.
All positions are going to be advertised.
No. Apart from Stephen. Oh, okay. I want to be clear. I want to be clear what happened.
First of all, we're in the middle of a World Cup campaign. And you're going to...
No, you didn't ask us when. You didn't ask us what our plan is.
What our plan is.
Football is our business. So you ask us how we plan to
do it. So what's the plan? What's the plan?
The plan is to advertise the positions at the appropriate time.
Also, not yet advertised. So for his specific question, because he was dealing with the under 17 team.
So as the under 17 team positions, are they going to be applied? When are they going to be?
They are going to be advertised.
When are they going to be advertised?
Listen, let me just say this. We are.
That's very. I know you gave the speech just now, but I just want to know when are they going to be advertised?
You asked me a question. I can either answer it or not answer it.
You go ahead and answer it.
We are in a process of transition. Clearly, our main and core business is football. We are not going to do anything to disrupt the football at any level of the organization.
All right. So the question would be, Joanne.
The question is just when are they going to be advertised?
With the tournament due to start. With the tournament due to start shortly. Hold on. With the
tournament in September. Is it going to be before or after?
Right, yeah. I think with the tournament due to start in September, the question would be, David and Joanne, with the tournament to start in September, the incumbents in the position now, would they be changed before September?
Andre, let me just make this clear.
Sure.
Let me just make this clear. Sure. When we came into office, I did have a meeting with the under 15 staff, right?
Yeah.
And the technical committee chose not to disrupt that staff.
Okay.
At present, we had a meeting with the technical staff, and I could tell you, and I'm not going to hide to tell you, that he is not satisfied
with
the direction we are going in terms of he's asked for a certain amount of money, which he has been, and we have no documents to prove that. And so far, I'm hearing from the technical director that he wants to withhold his services. I'm sure you're hearing that. I'm sure you're hearing that. And if he chooses to do that, we'll have to act on it.
Okay. So you say he's asking for money.
This is Mohamed Issa?
No, this is the under 17 coach. Mr. Kenny Lai. Mm-hmm. Okay. How much is he being paid right now?
Okay.
Oh no, that's not.
No, I know that, but
I'll ask you something else. Is he being paid right now?
Right, okay,
he has been in charge since November 29th.
Has he been paid?
Has he been paid?
No,
is he being paid?
Yeah. Okay. Because we cannot reach an agreement.
Okay.
Because, mind you,
and is he still coaching, doing the job?
Lasana, I want to tell you this. I want to tell you this.
Yeah.
Most of the under 17 staff, when they were operating under Raymond Timke, said they were doing it voluntarily. Mm-hmm. And that's a fact. They were doing it voluntarily. I just want to put that on record.
Okay. This coach has coached, you came in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. And you haven't been able to find, you haven't made a single payment to the coach?
Hold on a minute.
Does that sound fair to anybody yet?
No, hold on a minute. We did not inherit in November a viable financial organization. In fact, we don't have a viable financial organization right now. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, our one source of income was blocked until March. So yes, there's November, December, January, February, but you cannot undertake to pay people from funds you do not have.
I'm not doing that. And before that, he hadn't been paid for 5 months.
No. So hold on a minute.
But
so
I have
bad practice is not.
But my idea would have been, and with all due respect to Lasana, I was more interested in there were a number of people, in my opinion, before him,
exactly,
who should be paid.
But
on that list of people who have left.
Has a financial offer been made to him?
Well, I don't understand why we're concentrating on this one person in particular.
There's the next national team that's going to be...
Hold on a minute. We're not being careless with the organisation or our funds, and we're trying to manage through a difficult situation.
Well,
and on the radio...
It's nice for you to say not being careless, by the way, but this is a man who's in working. How many months? I call about 9 months.
Lasana, I'm not in a position
I understand.
I'll give you the headline. That's the next story. That's why.
Okay, fine.
Hold on.
Okay,
but I want to tell you this.
Yes.
It's so difficult to understand that, a lot of people could chastise me for what I'm going to say right now. But we are not being irresponsible as an organization. To be a member of FIFA, you must participate in at least 2 tournaments that FIFA runs. Be it the FIFA Men's World Cup, be it the FIFA Women's World Cup, be it an Under-17 World Cup, be it a whatever. You must think. The organization that we inherit is in $18 million in debt. Right? Zero sponsorship, no funding from FIFA until we have worked extremely hard to get back the FIFA funding. We met contracts and arrangements that could not have been substantiated. Okay? We met arrangements, no documentation. Is he say, them say, I think say. Okay? Right? We met an organization that is struggling. Okay? Now you want to come and, if we took a decision that we are not going to participate in under 17 because we can't afford it, or we're not going to participate in under 20, the public will want to kill us for it. And that's the harsh fact. That's the harsh
okay,
fact.
as we go, because I mean, I know that he's interested in Kenny. We've already gone past the time already. My interest would be what's the latest with Anton Cornell and Russell Latapy in particular.
We are in discussions with both of them.
So they have not been paid. And with all due respect to Ken,
a payment was made to Anton Cornell.
And with all due respect to Ken Ali, I have with Eli, I have my preference is that these 2 people be paid first. That's my personal preference. Obviously, I can speak personally based on what they've contributed. I know your funds are short, and I understand what's going on with Mr. Eli, but of course, they are in the rankings, because you know sometimes when you have to pay creditors, some creditors come ahead of others.
Can I ask though, if Mr. Eli asks for clarification and money, whatever it is, what correspondence has come from the TTFA to Eli about money? Have you all said you all want to pay me, you're going to pay me, offer him something?
We've had meetings with Mr. Ken Eli.
When was the last meeting you had with Mr. Eli?
No, hold on. I think we've gone far enough.
I think we've gone far enough.
I think we've gone far enough. All right.
Okay.
So in 2 weeks' time.
Hold on. He's trying to make a story.
No, that's okay.
He's trying to make a story.
I don't think so. But so let's get some commitment.
And we haven't even touched the TTFA election, by the way.
Yeah. So let's. When will you be back, David John-Williams? Honestly, I want to be credible.
I can't give you a commitment.
Okay.
And mind you, I didn't back down from the program.
No. I know that. But okay. So today is the 7th.
Andre.
You don't want to give me a commitment.
Hold on. If I'm elected CFU president.
When is that election again?
The 23rd. Oh. If I'm elected
23rd.
And my demands
23rd, okay.
say something else, but I promise you I'll be back.
All right.
I promise, and you know that.
Yeah, no, I know you stick to your promise.
I know I stick to my promise.
Yeah, I know
I'll
that,
be back.
All right.
And he wants to talk about the TTFA election. I think before he comes back, he should talk about the previous man and the electoral committee before he talks about the TTFA election. We're
going to have to end that because we are over the time. Thanks very much, Lasana Liburd.
Okay.
Joanne Salazar, very much thank you. And of course, much thanks to David John-Williams and Roxanne, who hasn't had much chance to say anything. I want to say that I apologize for that.
That's okay.
I apologize.
I'll do your
good night.
Good night.
Good night.